So tonight we have a special conversation that we need to have because when Congress can't agree on anything, the government pauses. And most contractors that I speak to, they freeze along with the pause. But what if I what if you could act right now? You could take action on your government contracting strategy. But what if you could not actually use this shutdown moment to reposition, to outshine your competitors, and to land wins while everyone else panics? That's what we're going to talk about today in this emergency conversation. I was hoping that someone else was going to cover this information, but because I saw that there was a gap in knowledge about this specific opportunity for you to win in government contracts, I had to get online. I had to get online. I had to share this information so that you knew what to do. You see, there's two ways of looking at the government shutdown. One is as a consumer. We all are feeling it, experiencing it, and all the politics. But I don't want to talk about politics tonight. I actually just want to talk about your business and how you're going to grow your business because regardless if the government is shut down, you are still running a profitable business. So, what are you going to do? When you're thinking about government contracts, or if you're in your journey, you're new to your journey, and you haven't experienced a government shutdown before, you might be panicking. You might be thinking, what does this mean to the contracts? Well, I actually want to cover some of that tonight and also give you some just like opportunities that most lazy people will never do. And it's one of the reasons why they always fall short. So if you're a pro and you want to listen in, lean in, take some notes, go ahead and find a piece of paper or pen, take some notes because we're going to just dive in a little bit more into strategy and opportunity so that you can win this year. My name is Melinda Colon. If you don't know me, I am a government contracting advisor, expert. I've helped my clients achieve over $4.4 billion in wins, and I have a win rate of 74%. And oftentimes, when I'm asked about my win rate, they usually just scoff and say, how is that possible when the industry average in government contracting is 10 to 12%? Well, I'll tell you exactly. Most people don't want to iterate. They throw spaghetti at the wall, just find an opportunity on sam.gov without a strategy. And they wonder why they lose more than they win. Or what's great is that they try to get contracts that they have no proficiency in. And it's actually not the best opportunity for you because of two things. One is asset value. When you want to take a step back from your business and you are the bottleneck of your business, meaning you can't take a vacation, you can't take a holiday, you can't get sick, you can't take your kids to school because you have to work to make the money come in. That is considered a bottleneck, but it's also considered a liability. And the more liabilities you have in your business, the harder it is to increase its value. You see, most business owners that were established as a, 60, 50 years ago, they understood that. They increased the value of their business. However, they didn't understand succession plans. And because of succession plans, the lack of their succession plans, they actually missed out on opportunities to sell their business to retire. And that's what we're experiencing in the American wealth transfer. All of these business owners, nearly 23% of the US economy is made up of entrepreneurs and business owners who are leaving their businesses, whether they're exiting, closing the doors and just saying goodbye, or exiting and selling it away. And either way, that those asset values are either worth something or worth very little. Now, who are you going to be? Are you going to be someone who creates an asset that can work all on its own, like God intended it to be? Or are you going to work yourself to the bone, just trying to find the next nickel and dime that you can convert? I only teach real serious business owners. It's one of the reasons why I turn other people away, because I want to help people who are serious about creating asset value in their business and they're not worried about letting go. They're not worried about fear and anxiety and stress and overwhelm because they understand that in order to get rid of that, they have to get themselves out of it. And it comes down to strategy. See, if you don't have a strategy, you're just panicking. And in fear, panic, I mean, literally, this is scientifically proven. You can't be the best thought leader. You can't be the best strategist. You can't be the best creator, which is one of the reasons why in the Bible it's repeated hundreds of times. Do not worry. Why? Because it actually impacts the way that we create. And so if we're worried all the time and we're worried about the next thing in the current present moment, we can't plan for the long-term opportunities. Well, let's talk about the current moment for a moment so that we can actually start planning for the long-term opportunities and start experiencing the rewards of being strategic and planning ahead. Now, the first thing is that I want to cover tonight about government shutdowns is, what is a government shutdown? Well, just kind of just taking out of the politics for a second and just giving you a really simple description of what it is. A government shutdown is where there is no agreement and they cannot move forward until there is one. And it could be a voting pattern of, the majority that don't agree or the majority that do agree, and that the House has a problem with. So, very simple. We can't agree. The majority can't agree on something to move forward with a budget. And it just so happens that it's a part of the fiscal 2026 budget. Now, the federal government fiscal year starts October 1st. Now, it's okay. I can put a date to this live video. Today's October 2nd. So we're on the day 2 of the fiscal year 2026. And so, what does that mean? That means that they're delaying spending money. Now, the whole goal of government contracts is to stimulate the economy. So, if there is no stimulation for a significant amount of time, there might be impacts to other areas of the market, which we're seeing in the stock market. We're also seeing that locally. We're just already starting to see those impacts. And they're negative, they're also very positive. So, what do you do in the meantime? Well, there's two ways of looking at things. As a consumer, you might be thinking, what does this mean? If you work for the government, you might be thinking, what does this mean? Right? It's a lot of unknowns and, just kind of confusion about what it really does to the impact of today's world. But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or a business buyer, this is an opportunity that I actually teach my clients to utilize. See, because the goal of government contracts is to stimulate the economy, their focus right now at the local level, state, local, education, and even the federal buyers is to basically spend the entire fiscal year 2026 budget, regardless of how many days are left in the fiscal year. Now, if you're familiar, if you watched my other video about the September surge, then you are familiar that the September surge is at the end of the fiscal year, meaning that it's kind of like having a budget and you're good all year. And at the end of the year, you have a surplus. You have more than you expected or more contingency, like kind of like leftover. But the goal of the government is not to save it, it's to spend it so that the economy continues to work properly. So the less time we have on the clock in a fiscal year, actually, it speeds up the opportunities potentially in specific markets. Now, the top markets usually are construction, engineering, consulting, professional services, IT software, manufacturing, and healthcare. These are the industries that typically see the bump in, efforts and opportunities. Included in the fiscal year budget for 2026 is a hike or an increase in aviation, as well as steel materials, like for bridges and aviation and, submarines and things like that. So the more that you know about what they're spending or what they're proposing to spend, the better it is for you to position to win. You see, the budget was already issued publicly in July. This is something you can literally save this video, come back to it, but go download the budget for every agency and see it right now. This is at the federal level. State and local, as of the time of the recording, still working out. Some have it completed, some are still working on finalizing it. But at the end of the day, these are opportunities for you to leverage that information right now. See, while they're trying to, when I say they're trying to establish the decision to move forward to release or levy the government shutdown, you, as an entrepreneur, a strategist in your business, you could be thinking about how you can position to win. You see, you still have access to partnership directories. You still have access to point of contacts for government agencies. You still have access to budgets. You still have access to a ton of information that's readily available to you right now. But most people stay stuck because they stay in consumerism. They don't think like a business owner, even though they're trying to grow a business. You want to think like a consumer, get over it, and then kind of dump right into business, because the reality of the situation is that most of us can't control what's going on there. We can't control the government shutdown. We can't control the decisions that are at the powers be, but we can control how we respond to them. So actually, I want to share with you that this is not the first time we had a government shutdown. We recently had one in 2018 that lasted 35 days. In 2013, we also had another government shutdown. This was during the Obama administration over the disagreement of the Affordable Care Act. In 1995, 96, this was, I believe, Clinton. This was over budget battles, disagreements over Medicare and deficits. This shutdown counted for several days. We're not really sure how long the shutdown will be. There's, kind of this projection or this hope that it will be, released, or, everything will go back to normal status quo in a few days. We're really not sure what it's going to look like. But we do have some pressure on the other end, which is the holidays. If you're a government employee, or someone who has worked for the government, you know that the holidays are usually the time where most days are taken off, right? But is procurement still active? Yes, they are. They might not be reviewing, but they are advertising during the holidays, during bits and breaks of the holidays. So why am I sharing this with you? The better that you are positioned, the better chances for you to win. Because while everyone else is staying just kind of, I'll just say it, lazy, and just stressed and overwhelmed about things about they can't control, they can actually be working on their business. And actually, when they release the levy and let everybody go forward, you'll be way ahead of everyone else trying to figure out where to start. So I wanted to share with you some proactive moves to get you positioned to take action. Okay. So here, first, I want to talk about the losses and risks. Okay. I know that this is not just like flowers and daisies moment in time. And some people are really worried about their jobs. And I completely get that. That's really impacting lives. And I also want to talk to you about contractors, like what you can actually lose and what's the risk at currently right now. So there's obviously delays in approvals, contract awards, and payments that are happening right now because it's unsure what we're going to be doing. I mean, we are moving forward. We've always moved forward after a government shutdown. So that's not a worry. We've definitely experienced more than 3 that I mentioned government shutdowns, but these are just the last 3 since the 1990s. Budget reprioritization. So non-essential projects are deferred or cut. Non-essential, kind of thinking back to during the pandemic, there were essential workers and non-essential workers. So what does that mean? Do some of the programs or the events or activities, do they still take place, or are they getting rescheduled? If you are in an industry that is considered non-essential, One of the strategies that I would recommend that you take and just take advantage of and consider is actually just contacting your procurement officer. They might not be available, but put the message out there to see if they are going to readjust the schedule for solicitations at all. If they reschedule the solicitations, then at least it's a yes or no. It's a yes, more likely is going to be delayed, and you can find out if they're going to be delayed by a lot or a little. You can also reach out to your Audisbu website or your contact for your federal agency, and they'll be able to navigate you through that process as well. You see, when that happens, it's not that they stop spending, it's that they get reallocated. So we just want to know if it's going to be delayed or canceled. And you want to know ahead of time so that you can plan ahead and not be surprised. All right, so agencies become risk adverse. They prefer known, safe partners. Why? See, one of the reasons why government agencies love people who have expertise and knowledge in delivering the services that they're looking to pay for is because then it's less risky for that contract to be returned to them. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there has been an uptick on rebids. Rebids are, in case you don't know, a rebid is a contract. It goes out for solicitation, advertised to the world, and nobody responds to it by the deadline. And then it's rebid, it's re advertised. This is happening a lot lately. And so there has been some adjustments like associated with that and then not associated with rebids to make contracts smaller and to chunk them up in smaller bites because they know that the market is shifting. So, what you could do as a specialist, see, this is one of the things that I see, one of the mistakes that I see business owners make when they're starting in government contracts is that they get scared. They think that their expertise is not valuable. I speak to clients all the time, prospects, people online all the time in the DMs about their specialty. They say, "Oh, I don't want to do this forever." I said, "Well, at least get started so that you can use that expertise to get your feet wet, to get comfortable, to really just start to build momentum. Then you can exit your business, sell it because you have a contract now and it's valuable, and then move into something else." But if you are, okay, I'm going to say it because I can't give you the analogy without explaining it. So, just a quick summary of what I think of when people say, "I want to just win a contract." I have 20 years of experience in marketing, but I don't want to do marketing. I want to do project management. And my response back to them is, "What are you going to do with the 20 years of expertise?" It's kind of like getting a gift and actually not utilizing it. And I think back to the story of the parable of the three talents. See, there was three servants and one master. And the master gave three servants a certain amount of talents. The last servant mentioned only got one talent. And this talent is about like 70, 80 pounds. It's a decent size. The other two servants went straight away to actually make that money back. They doubled in the value of what were given. But that one servant decided to bury it. Do you guys know this story? The one servant decided to bury it. And when the master came back, he was so happy and elated with the other two servants' results. He gave them what they had made as like what the interest was that they made. But the last servant, sitting on his talent, said, "Well, I know that you reap where you do not sow." Meaning that I already know the system. I already know your strategy. I'm just choosing not to do anything with it. I'm choosing to sit here and not utilize my skill sets or my talents to double the chances of success. You see, if you don't use the skill sets that God gave you, that God allowed you to evolve and grow over time, you're missing out on opportunities to make your life easier. Because he says, "My yoke is easy, my burden's light. And if we really take it for his word, because he's never lies, then that's what it means. So when we are leaning into government contracts and we try to like leave the behind and we focus on everything and anything, it's a scattered brain. I will leave Proverbs to you to read. So let's get back to it. Agencies become risk averse. So if you have expertise and knowledge in an area of business, if you're from employee to entrepreneur, whatever your situation is, and you have expertise, you have knowledge in doing something, go see if there are contracts for that knowledge. Because more than likely, there is. You just have to go look for them. And if there is, then the next question is, and this is a quick mindset moment, why are you running away from the gift that was given to you? All right, so let's move on to cash flow stress. Contractors stuck in mid execution could face gaps. Now, this is true if you already have a contract and you're delivering on that contract. There may have been a delay, a pause, and if there's a pause in work, there's typically a pause in payment. And yes, this is concerning, especially if it delays very long, because that impacts your cash flow. Again, this is another reason why I highly recommend that contractors diversify your revenue. You see, I've seen clients go from six figures to seven figures in 30 to 60 days. I've seen clients go from seven figures to $1 billion in 18 months. This is all possible with contracts. However, diversifying your revenue allows you to stabilize when these things, this unexpected, uncontrollable things happen. Definitely, government contracts are recession proof, but there's always going to be something that goes up and down. And you want to be prepared for that. It's an acceleration path if you know how to play the game right. But it can also be something that could be detrimental if you're not positioned properly. All right, so how do we position properly? What do we do, Melinda, right now? Okay, hopefully this is serving you in a big way today. But what you can control is positioning. All right, so you could control your positioning, and really positioning comes down to being visible, credible. You know, if you haven't updated your website, your capability statement, if you are not familiar with the budgets, go look at them. If you haven't read through meeting minutes or notes or anything like that, take the time to do that now. You see, while everybody is frantic, you go find the front doors instead of the emergency exit. Okay. It'll be a lot easier to get through. The second thing is messaging grounded in mission. You know, going back to that low risk that agencies are going to be looking for. You want to frame your frameworks, your systems, your offers, your pricing strategies around how this is going to be a win win for both parties. And including if you have subcontractors or if you are a subcontractor to a prime, how it can be a win win win. Okay. So be open to that. Pre engagement is going to be so critical. Like I said, their goal is to keep the economy moving, and they're focused on spending a significant amount of money in a shorter period of time. Okay, their window just closed by 2 days, and you might not think that that's a lot, but on the federal side, they award over 500,000 contracts a year. On the state, local, and education side, you want to add that on top of it. Typically is more than 500,000 because we're dealing with 99,000 agencies. So there's a lot of opportunities. And that means that they have to reevaluate these things and even accelerate the path to getting them awarded. Now, do you want to deter them or slow them down? No, you want to speed them up, right? You want them to speed them up in your direction. So building relationships with them will be key. You know, I love LinkedIn because not only are business owners on there, corporate clients that we found on there, but also government agencies, contracting officers, procurement officers, and even users are on LinkedIn. And you just find them by their title, by the company that they work for or the government agency they work for, and they're right there to connect with, not to spam. Please, please, please don't spam them. Some of them are my friends. So we want to send a message that just introduces yourself. One or two lines, that's it. Okay, really simple. But make sure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized. Make sure that you show your past performance, even if it's not in government at all. Like if you're coming from private to government or you're leveraging your private work to win government contracts. If you have those contracts, great, go ahead and show that. Any partnerships, your team, talk about that, or just a simple link directly to your website or capability statement. Now, asset creation. So this is where you want to update your capability statements, your case studies, your contract database, anything like that. This is the time to do it because and I know that we're busy business owners. And when it's time to go, you just want to go. So just take out the friction now. Use this as an opportunity to prepare to run because you will run. Have you ever tried running with your hands full of bags? You're just trying to run. Maybe you have like kids on your hips and you're trying to run versus if you were completely free and able to run just you. It's a completely different amount of energy that's required to go. So just take this time now while it's slow to get things done so that when you run, you are in first place. Then lastly is the mindset shift we're going to circle back on because there is this thing like I hope something comes. Like I hope I win a contract. I just need one contract. I just need. And I want to recommend to shift your mindset. Mindset is very powerful and it's also a lever in growing your business. I've seen entrepreneurs who have exceptional past performance, exceptional. I mean, they just have everything on writing perfect, but their mindset not in position. So when they took the time to actually submit a proposal and they didn't weren't selected, they wondered why. And when I was reviewing their proposals, and they came to me and they found me actually, and I'm reviewing their proposals, I'm realizing that, and I'm pointing out to them that the language that they used was as if they were not the authority, that they were not confident, they could not deliver. You see, this is something that ChatGPT is not going to pick up on. You have to know your confidence. You have to own it and you have to decide that you can deliver. If you have experience doing this, actually delivering services, performing work, then this will be an easy play for you. But if this is your first round, you want to make sure that you're leveraging what is already working for you so that you can run. Well, hopefully that really helped you. Hopefully this live served you and gave you some clarity on to what to do during a government shutdown. This is typically not my time to record, but I thought it was important going into the weekend just to know exactly what to do and what to take advantage of. This is not a time to sleep on government contracts. In fact, it's a time to accelerate your work in strategy. So if you're interested in coming to the GovScale Insider Masterclass, I'm hosting one coming up very soon. You can register for free, and I'm going to be diving deeper into my system and strategy for helping my clients win billions of dollars in government contracts, as well as some things that you don't know about the opportunities that are literally at your feet and that you should take advantage of to go faster, but sustainably in government contracting. Go ahead and click on the link down in the description to register for GovScale Insider Masterclass. This is an opportunity that is like no other. I guarantee that you'll walk away with information that you never even thought possible or even considered to put together. but it's clear and it's actionable and it's results oriented information. So all you got to do is register for free. And if you want, you can upgrade to VIP and get an additional hour of coaching by me, private coaching by me before the masterclass starts. This is an opportunity that when people take the VIP Insider Experience, they walk away with not just a ton of notes, but action steps to go fast. And if you want to go fast, you don't want to waste time trying to figure it out by yourself. You know that you want to accelerate things because this is the season for growth. You're going to want to come to GovScale Insider Masterclass. It's not one that you want to miss. And I want to make sure that I save your seat and keep it warm so that we can grow your business together. All right, guys, enjoy your evening. Take care. God bless.